you so much for giving us your time. One day back, and it seems you've been quite busy already with one or two withdrawals. First of all, this afternoon, Adam Lallana, what's happened there?
Yeah, he's just picked up a muscular injury quite close to the beginning of training, so it's the worst thing as far as we're concerned, because you never want to send players back injured. Adam's had such a difficult run personally, and is a player we think so much of, as I know Jurgen does. So at the moment he's having a really difficult run, and you review what we might have been able to do differently, but today was just really out of the blue. So yeah, I'm really disappointed for him, because he's had such a tough year, missing so much football, and hopefully he can be back strong as quickly as possible.
Does it seem quite serious, then, the injury?
Well, that has to be assessed. That's still to be scanned properly and assessed, but for certain he's out of our 2 games, and it was more important for him to go back now and see everybody at Liverpool and see what's what.
Will you look to cover him then?
Well, we're just talking that through. I mean, we feel that the squad we've got is nice and tight. So we've got the game Saturday. All being well, if the under-21s do well on Thursday, they're pretty much qualified, and we can think about a couple of them. And for training, our under-19s and under-20s are here, so it's a good opportunity for us to involve some of those younger players with our squad.
I understand you have called up another goalkeeper today, Marcus Bettinelli.
Yeah, again, you know, all of our goalkeepers have been modified in one way or another with their training, so we felt it was useful to bring another goalkeeper in for training. And Marcus is another player we've worked with the under-21s in the past. We obviously have a situation in the Premier League at the moment where there aren't many English goalkeepers playing. Marcus, very comfortable with the ball at his feet. You know, he fits that modern prototype of goalkeeper. And you know, no point in us calling up a more senior keeper who's worked with us in the past just for training and to have a look at. So it's a good opportunity for Marcus.
So having lost Raheem Sterling and lost Adam Lallana today, if you don't call someone else up, it might appear from the outside that that's a reluctance to do that. Mm-hmm. Why would that be?
Well, we think we've got a strong squad. We're 3 games into a new season, and we looked through a lot of different players over the last couple of years and decided that because of the way we want to play and the way that the type of players we want to work with, that there are some guys that didn't fit that model. And so now we're into a fresh cycle of probably not going back to players that have been in before and that we've had a good look at. So the next group that we start to look at are probably coming through our younger age groups. There's a couple of others that are still young, that are still you know, have room for growth. The Chalobahs, the Will Hugheses, the Ross Barkleys, but I don't want to bring them in now. You know, 3 days into the camp. I'd rather do that when we feel they're ready. We feel that we're looking at them on merit, and also we really like some of the age groups below, and I think they're quite likely to be the guys that push. But when you're promoting young players, you've got to be really careful about how quickly you do that, because you want to give them game time. You want to bring them in, have them train and adapt to the training, but also be able to give them game time. Otherwise, 3 or 4 squads down the line, it isn't quite as fresh, it isn't quite as unique. And I think that's happened a little bit with a couple in the past who then coming with England is a little bit of a negative for them if they don't get on the pitch.
So is that to say then that players who from the outside appear to have started the Premier League season well, Callum Wilson who's 26, mm-hmm. Troy Deeney who's 30, are not going to get a look in?
I think Callum is another player we work with the under-21s, and so we know a lot about Callum. He's certainly one we have to keep monitoring. I think Troy is a player who really suits the way that Watford play, and I'm a big fan of his. I think what he brings to their team and the way that he leads their team in the way that they play and in the games they have. But I think we play slightly differently, and I think that for me, the next forward players that I see that should be challenging are some of the younger ones.
On Raheem Sterling particularly, he started the season really well in the Premier League. How much of a disappointment was it to lose him, and how did that come about in terms of the conversations that you might have had with him?
Well, in terms of the pull-out, he's got a back injury, so that's pretty straightforward. But in terms of what do we miss, for us, he was fundamental to the style of play in the summer. And I know there's a lot of talk about whether that's his best position, and he's playing off the left this season, but he wasn't playing off the left last season. So for me, Raheem is very interchangeable, very fluid in the positions he can play. He loves playing through the middle with us. So the big thing for Raheem is to score, is to start scoring internationally. It's as simple as that. I think had he added goals to his performances in the summer, everybody would have been really clear on what his value was for the team. I think we were very clear. I know lots of coaches I spoke to, lots of ex-players I spoke to were also very clear on what he added to the team. His teammates were, all of the staff were. So, from our perspective, we're just desperate for him to get that goal, because we can see him doing it for club, and he's just got to probably feel the freedom of doing that a couple of times with England, and then he'll be off and running.